Hey YouTube, what's up? Ronic here. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome to a match showcase video today where we somehow bring a victory from the jaws of defeat. I think this match highlights how, even though a match might look unwinnable, if you switch up your playstyle and adapt to what's going on, you have a good chance of bringing it back. I consider myself an average to good player, and my intent for making these videos is to give all of you an insight into my head when I'm playing the game and making decisions on how I want to approach battles. And I hope it provides some sort of learning value for you. Let's go ahead and just jump right in. At the time of playing this game, I was trying to spade the scimitar, which I'll be completely honest, I wasn't a huge fan of to begin with. But after playing a bunch of games and unlocking the top AP belts in it, given its size and the penetration ability of that top AP belt, this tank is actually pretty ratty and disgusting. And if you play your cards right, you can actually be pretty gross with it. When it comes to the map Carpathians, it's not that I don't like it. It's just, it didn't really fit the lineup I had, so to speak. Not a lot of places necessarily hide as a light tank. Going to the northwest of A, lots of concealment, so a lot of trees, but there's like no cover. So the moment you get spotted, you're just gonna get blasted. And generally people like to go that way now ever since they added all that cover a while back. Not exactly a fan of C either, because you have to go through choke points just to get there, and you can take side shots from the A hill. So I decided to go A hill so I can get some vision on the C point, potentially get some scouts, and maybe hide in some buildings or the rubble up there and maybe get some surprise side shots on the opponent team going to A. Upon reaching this position, I was pretty disappointed. Snaggle is doing the Lord's work north of A. He's actually able to take out an enemy, which is really nice. We're able to see something light down on the other side of C. It turns out I can't tell if it's a light tank or if it's an SPA. My gut initially told me martyr, but it looks smaller than that, so I think it turns out being a weasel. And this is where I think I make my first real bad play of the game, because I became fixated on it because I knew I could take it out easily. And therefore, I think I exposed myself for way too long here, just sitting in the open, trying to take shots that were pretty low percentage. I'm definitely hearing a term in the B circle or near B. Terms and leopards have very distinct engine noise and track sounds. I was trying to use my third-person view to try and pinpoint his location just to see if I can get a cheeky side shot on his ammunition in his turret. But while I was doing that, that cheeky little light tank down on the other side decided to expose itself, and I thought I could take him out, but I missed all my shots because I didn't think to range find before I started shooting. And why it didn't dawn on me that I probably gave my position away and I should probably leave, I don't know. I'm still trying to keep my ears open for that term that's in B, and at one point he does expose himself enough to allow us to get a shot, but we don't capitalize on taking him out.
You serious, Clark?
And only if I had listened to my gut earlier, as indeed that weasel did figure out where we were, and he almost got us. Thankfully, he was almost able to take out one of our crew members, but that just means we're down to 2 for the rest of the match. As I'm sitting there contemplating my choices, I examine the minimap and realize that we have no B control and we're pinned in our alleyway down at C. So I'm not exactly liking map control this early into the match. All they have to do is push us off the A hill and we are essentially pinned back. If I could do this whole battle all over again, I would not have sat in this position for as long as I have just to try and engage a weasel. I can't believe it took an artillery strike to get me to just leave, but I should have left a lot earlier. Try not to get target fixated like I did here, because it's an easy way to just lose sight of everything that's going on around you, which will lead to your death. But considering we had the A point, I felt comfortable moving up to their side of the hill and maybe get some side shots on some of their tanks coming out of their lower spawn heading towards the B area. But I couldn't help myself. I saw that weasel was making an attempt towards our alleyway, saw some trees getting knocked down, so I thought maybe I could get a shot, but I didn't have my range set up. I wasn't prepared. I was sitting in the open. Really poor play that I probably should have got punished for. Upon making it past the little elevated walkway, we're able to jump down and get behind the enemy tanks that are at B, and we catch this term out, but I don't think it's the one that we shot at earlier because this one didn't have bushes on it. But we're able to take out a term nonetheless, which is a great thing to do. And then we were able to identify something Russian with a big gun behind that rock, and we decided to leave because there's not a whole lot that we can do from that. Ambush has paid off. I'm starting to hear a few more enemy tanks coming from their side of the A hill. I don't know if they're up or low, but I want to try and get into a position to see if I can determine that. On top of that, it's always satisfying to get a scout on a Russian heavy, that one of your teammates takes out. So we got an easy assist and an easy kill. You guys might often see in my videos or my gameplay that I like to wiggle my turret when I'm listening for enemy tanks, and there's a very specific reason for that. I do use surround sound in my headphones, so when I wiggle my turret, the engine noise from the enemy vehicle will be transferred in between my left and right headphone, and based on my gun orientation, when the sound switches between the headphones, I can kind of get an idea on where specifically they are, especially if they're behind a wall, which is very helpful in determining if I'm like behind a house and I don't know if they're coming around the left side of the house at me or the right side. It really helps me differentiate that so I can kind of get my gun aimed in a good position. In this situation, after using this method, which basically solidified to me that the hostile tank was not on the hill and that he was on the other side of the wall, but down on that low road going towards B, which at that point, knowing he's not coming up towards A, I felt safe to turn around and head over to this walkway to see if I can't ambush anything that's in B. And thankfully, we're able to catch these two Haubitzas not paying attention. We're only able to get one. Decided to retreat because that second one started swinging his big old Gertha at me, and I did not want to take a shot from that thing.
No. Wait.
After engaging those Haubitzas on B, we're able to regain audio contact on that other German vehicle on the other side of the wall. We wiggle our turret back and forth a few times to try and ascertain where and what direction they are moving. By using this method, we're clearly able to distinguish that the whatever it is coming up at us right now, and it turns out to be a Panzerhaubitze, which I have probably died to more than any other vehicle since its release, so it felt really satisfying to take this sucker out. Now, the question here is he going to ping the map and let his teammates know where I am? Or did he have any allies that were silent that we don't know yet, and they have now located where we are? I decided that was a risk I was willing to take, considering we are a small tank, and there's a very good possibility that someone who is looking around very rapidly with their camera might miss us, so I decided to just wait. After a little bit of time has passed, I'm just kind of just sitting here still, not really being proactive, but I'm just trying to listen and try and get an idea of how many tanks and what they are that are coming to us. We do see that tree get knocked over behind the turret of that destroyed Haubitze, and then an airplane flies over the top, and we hear an SPAA, and if you play the game long enough, you'll recognize that was a Shilka 100%. And I don't think if they knew where I was that they would give away their position like that, considering they felt safe firing. I don't think they believed I was here, so I knew that my ambush and my element of surprise was still intact. After taking out that Shilka, we still heard that Russian tank coming up the hill towards us. I was pretty convinced that he was going to know where we were. It became apparent that because he decided to continue up and not look my direction immediately, that the Shilka did not ping the map and indicate where I was. And we tried to use some trigger discipline here and wait until we got a perfect flat-on side shot of the underbelly of that T-54. Able to take it out with the first shot, which was pretty satisfying. Just kind of highlights the power that this thing can do if you just play the waiting game and try and ambush your opponents. Because Snaggle was killed earlier by a Martyr, based on where Snaggle died, which was on the hill overlooking the B point, I knew that Martyr had to have some kind of vision on him, so I knew he was floating in between B and C somewhere. So I thought now, since I didn't hear any enemy tanks coming up towards A, that I had a little bit of time to potentially go look for him and catch him unaware. And thankfully we did, even though I almost choked, because sometimes Martyrs are just boxes of space and don't necessarily like to die very quickly, but thankfully we were able to take him out. Because the enemy team was so fixated on B and A, they left C undefended, so Snaggle was able to respawn in another Fox and head down there and secure that point while the field was clear, trying to keep us in this game as long as possible, even though I'll be honest, at this point I still felt like this was going to be a loss. To be completely honest, I rushed down the ridge here towards B, mainly because I thought this game was over and that there was really nothing worth fighting for as the enemy team was taking A. We're able to catch a Bulldog out in the open, which is really nice, and then upon looking into their spawn, we see this poor guy make a fatal error by crashing into a stone wall, and we're able to take him out first, even though I kind of puckered a bit as my first couple rounds did not do the job. It was after taking that second Bulldog out where I looked down at the bottom and actually saw how close I was to a nuke. So I think it was at this point where I was like, you know what? I should actually probably try to win this game now. With that in mind, I had a pretty important decision to make. Do I head back up to A and try and ambush the enemy that just captured A and try and get those points? Or do I stay down here by B and try and help Snaggle capture the B point? But unfortunately, our capture points will probably be shared, so I won't get enough score. Thankfully, this patent spawned and immediately made up my mind for me, as I probably wouldn't be able to get to B without him blapping me. He's definitely one of the Bulldog players because he knew exactly where to look. I will say I definitely got caught in an OODA loop right here, as I didn't know where to go. That patent was dead set on killing me. And there was a jet above me, which is unfortunate. So I knew I couldn't stay in one spot, because if he lit me up with his coax or his roof-mounted machine gun, he'd probably get the little hit marker, and then the bomber would know exactly where I am. So while we were making our way back up towards A, heard loud jet engines, which I only assumed to be my death. However, it seemed to be the AR-234 bombed Snaggle in B to prevent him from capping, but somehow missed, which is shocking because generally every AR-234 player that I ever come across is like a damn laser beam with his bombs. They are incredibly accurate and generally very skilled pilots, except Snaggle somehow managed to survive. But I also think it's worth noting, spending a couple extra seconds talking about how close Snaggle came to dying from this 234. As you can see, the first bomb was basically right on top of him, and it just blew his tires off, so that was a little concerning. Not exactly sure how that worked, but look how close this bomb impacted next to Snaggle, and somehow he didn't die. A few moments later, that 234 came back with another bomb, and again, look how close he was. This one's a little farther away, but still, like, how did that not kill a fox? If you can argue of one or two specific moments that have to roll your way in a battle for you to be victorious, this is one of them, because if Snaggle gets killed and we don't cap B and the enemy caps A, then we don't inflict the ticket loss on them. Therefore, they're probably not going to be as aggressive trying to take the points back, which will serve us later. And while it was a good idea in theory, I was not counting on my teammate to actually take out the enemy at A and secure it. So now I'm kind of like stuck. I can't just sit still, but also the only place for me to advance is basically in the open towards their spawn. I'm looking down at my score. I'm looking at the tickets, and I'm like, man, I'd rather try to get a nuke and not get it than just sit still and not get it. So I wanted to push forward, and we somehow managed to catch this Jagdpanther out, which was very lucky. Upon killing the Jagdpanther, you look at the bottom, and if you look at our score, I was able to let out a brief FFS bruh before abruptly being killed by a martyr that snuck up the backside of the A hill. But upon entering the menu, it seems that our cheeky little death brought us over the finish line, and now justice can be served for our team, getting walloped for the first 80% of this match. As I'm in the nuclear bomber on my way to the battlefield, this is indeed the climax of the match, in which I believe Snaggle confirms the game as a victory for us. He is stuck at the B cap all by himself. He has an IS-3 moving up just at the base of the hill, and then he has that M48 that we spotted earlier. So 1v2, the enemy is securing A, we have C, and the enemy needs basically to cap B in order to drain our tickets before I have a chance to drop the nuke. So Snaggle's got to somehow delay them long enough for me to get here. The IS-3 decides to initiate the attack first, and because he's Russian and doesn't have any gun depression, he made the mistake of going over the trenches, which didn't allow his gun to aim down and take Snaggle out. Snaggle was smart enough to realize to take out his tracks and basically immobilize him. While Snaggle's busy with the IS-3, the M48 Patton shows up at the middle of B cap, and using his speed, he was able to swing around the side of the Patton and was able to take it out basically with one shot by taking out the turret crew, believe it or not, before being killed. So now the only hostile who's capable of capturing B is that IS-3, who's currently repairing his tracks. By the time the IS-3 repaired the tracks and was able to get on the cap circle, there's your boy flying over with the nuke. So I honestly think that if Snaggle wasn't able to secure the B point, or at least delay it long enough, I don't think we would have won this game. Yeah, I'll fully admit that we needed some luck and a couple things to roll our way, but honestly, that's how it be like sometimes. It could have been just as easy for us to give up halfway through the match when we lost the whole map and our team got killed, but we decided not to. We decided to give it our best shot and use our tanks to their advantages, as well as use the enemy team's confidence against them. They probably thought the match was over, so they decided to push up and not be careful, and we were able to take advantage of that. I really don't know what the War Thunder community thinks about match analysis or match showcase videos like this, so your comments are really important to determine on whether or not I try and do more of these. I hope all of you enjoyed the video today. If you did, please consider hitting that thumbs up and leaving a comment down below. Let me know what you think. If you do want to see more videos like this, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It really helps the channel out, and I can't say thank you enough for the amount of subscribers I've gained on the channel in the past year, even though I haven't made any videos just because life has been so time consuming and difficult. But I really want to say thank you, and I look forward to making some videos going forward. So stay tuned, all of you, and I'll see you in the next one.